You're listening to the iRacers Lounge podcast, where we discuss everything iRacing in a casual setting. Enjoy. Welcome to the iRacers Lounge. I am your host, Mike Ellis. iRacers Lounge is a podcast for the iRacer, where we talk all things iRacing in a casual setting. Joining me are the usual characters, Brian McCubbin.
Hey everybody, how you doing?
All right, David Hall
Yo, yo.
and Donnie Spiker.
Good afternoon, fellas.
Welcome, Greg Hectus. What up? And Steve Thompson.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the iRacers Lounge. Come on in here and take a seat next to Mike Ellis. Don't sit on his lap, though.
That's right. On tonight's show, we'll talk who's undefeated in Winter NIS. Thrustmaster finally announces something, and Asetek goes all in with a full line of sim hardware. Take a load off and join us in the lounge.
Yeah, and you can follow along with us on your PC or mobile device in real time as you listen to the show and see for yourself all of these great topics we'll be discussing by visiting iRacersLounge.com and selecting show notes. So let's see you there.
Are you tired of your pedals feeling like a video game? Want to step up to feeling like you're actually driving? We designed our P1 Pro pedals to feel exactly like a real car, giving you a better feeling when you're driving. Push braking zones to the limit and avoid locking up by having a finer feel of the limit. Trail brake into the corners smoother, allowing you to carry more speed. The SimCoach's P1 Pro pedals will be the last set of pedals you'll ever purchase for your simulator. Lifetime warranty is included. That means if you ever run into issues in years to come, we'll service them and keep them perfect. Simcoaches.com.
All right, well, we're going to dive right into topics today, and we're kicking it off with Ray Alfella getting his shot in the real car. It looks like he finished P18 in a fall brawl. He had a fuel pump failure that ended the race, but overall enjoyed the experience. He said he learned a lot, and he showed good pace, and he shot a thank you out to iRacing, BRS, and Interstate Batteries, as well as family and friends. It's always a neat story seeing the guys make the jump.
Well deserved, you know.
It's always nice to see an iRacing scheme on any track. So it's good run for him.
Yeah, take note that they did wrap the car. I mean, they put VRS on the quarter panel, iRacing on the hood, even has Ray's 51 on the door. So pretty cool that they did all that just for this one race. And my understanding is when he was running before the fuel pump failure that he was competitive and digging on the bottom and making moves.
Yeah, hopefully he gets another chance at it.
So this is the race, I guess, is the prequel to the Snowball Derby, right? At Five Flags in Florida. So it's close to home for him, I guess.
Makes sense.
And if I were to say one person from iRacing who might deserve a shot like this, I know there's guys who are doing better than him in like the Coke series and stuff, but he's been around so long in iRacing and at a top level for so long. He would be one of the guys I would want to see get an opportunity like this. Other guys come and go sometimes, or they race for just a short amount of time and retire. This guy's been around for a long time, and he's been at the very top for years. So just because of those kind of things, I'm glad he got this shot. It's really cool.
That
Yeah,
might
the
be a
whole
neat.
idea. Sorry, David. I was going to say the whole idea is probably to try to, gain some exposure, and try to, find a sponsor perhaps and maybe go racing on a more regular basis. Who knows? But hopefully he's getting some calls.
I think it's pretty established now that iRacing can be a route to establishing bringing your way up instead of having to come up through the real super late model, traditional route now, because they're seeing it happening in multiple cases. And now owners and talent scouts are starting to see that these guys that are at the top level in sim racing probably can drive a real car, and they also have built up some good online following through streaming and such.
Yeah, I don't think Ray has any experience prior to iRacing to any real racing, so he might be just strictly on the
How
service, got
realistic
good, and
is
then
it, David, that I
Say
was
again,
just
Mike.
thinking, yeah, Ray is with Joe Gibbs Racing. He has a relationship, perhaps, there is some crossover opportunity there where, they're looking for drivers to come up, um, you know, especially with Kyle Busch Motorsports moving over to Chevrolet, the whole Toyota, and they are, but maybe they're looking for drivers, and and you already have a relationship there. That's pretty cool.
Is anybody else getting break up from Mike on his audio?
I'll go move into another room.
All right, as he moves, let's vote on whether or not the room is a better room. No, actually, let's ask if anybody else has voted on the VCO Sim Awards. What do you think, Donnie?
yeah, I voted. Having a hard time recalling what I voted for and who I voted for. I noticed we weren't on there, so I couldn't vote for us. But the VSO Semi Awards opened up their online voting, the voting phase for the 2022 VICO Semi Awards. Choose your favorite from 5 nominations in each of our 10 categories. Voting closes on November 28th. So vote now. You can come to our show notes, follow the link, or find VICO Semi Awards on Twitter. Did you guys vote?
Yeah, I voted. I went through to see what they were voting on, but I don't remember either.
I think Casey Kerwin had best driver and best oval driver in some categories.
Yeah, I think I voted for him, so it's the only name I recognized.
I'll ask you guys under the sim racing personalities. I only recognized maybe a couple of the 5 that they had on there. Did you guys recognize the other names?
Steven Wilson, I think. That was the other one I recognized.
There were a few Coke drivers, but you're right, Donnie. I think a lot of the mentions that you're talking about are from other sims. I think iRacing people that are associated with iRacing got some mention in there. Like we saw Best Pictures Justin Melillo, and he's the guy that we get all the information from for the Coke series, and so he's very embedded with iRacing. But there wasn't a lot of those names I didn't even recognize, and I know a lot about iRacing.
All right. Well, I think the voting closes on November 28th, so got a week or so more. Get your votes in. All right, Steve, tell us about the Black Friday sale still going on.
Yeah, the Black Friday sale with iRacing still going on. You can, it says, come race with us, whether you're new to sim racing, looking to jump back in, or extending your stay on the virtual track. We've got something for everyone. Check it out at iRacing.com/Black Friday, and they've got 50% off all new memberships. So if you're listening to this show, you're probably already a member, but it'd be a good time if you want to start a second membership. Um, you get 50% off on that, or if you're a current member, you'll get 25% off and get renewal. So I already did it. I've got 2 accounts, so I think I'm good till like 2025 now. I keep every time this comes out. I'm afraid they're not going to do it the next year, and what happens if I run out of money and can't iRace? I don't know what to do.
Just keep adding it up, right?
Start
That's right.
selling stuff.
Some
Yeah.
people invest in Bitcoin. Steve invests in iRacing.
Yeah.
It's probably a better investment right now.
Then you get to enjoy it.
Him and Matt Malone. Matt Malone's like good for the next century.
I won't be
Well, I
going to
want one of
jail
those
with Shaq.
I just
super
got
accounts. You own everything.
yeah. I just got a email the other day from iRacing saying they're getting ready to charge me for a renewal. So I got to make sure I get in and get this discount before they do it automatically.
It shows it's good through December 1st, so Black Friday and beyond, at least till the 1st.
Yeah, so that's kind of a good recommendation. If you guys have been renewing on Black Friday to get that discount, you know, if you don't do it and it automatically renews, you're going to pay the full price. So make sure you get in there and enter that code so you can get the discount and not let it auto renew, because you will not, even though it might happen during this sale.
And you don't have to wait till Black Friday. It's already open because I already done mine.
Oh, nice.
I did mine.
Oh, yeah, it says now through December 1st. Yeah, you guys are right. Black Friday is now. I just walked through a store and they already had stuff labeled as Black Friday. So looks like it's a 2-week deal now.
Well, at Verizon, it's a 4-week deal. I mean, we already have our Black Friday deals out, and they've been out for a while.
So much stuff that's online is online now. Maybe, it just doesn't have the same craziness that it maybe used to have on Black Friday. That plus COVID really shut a lot of that down for a while. All right. So next up, it looks like Laguna Seca, the proper track, is getting a full makeover. Mike, you've probably given this one a good look over.
Well, I was just thinking, if they change the track or do a makeover, boy, we're going to have to get a rescan. Has this one been updated? I can't recall.
I'm not 100% sure if they're touching the track itself, maybe some resurfacing from here and there, but a lot of the structures are coming down and getting rebuilt. You can see in the picture for that bridge, that pedestrian bridge. So even if that happens, even if they reduce some of the structures, we're going to have to hopefully get a rescan on iRacing to get the environment to be accurate. So we'll see. I can't imagine where they would update the track. Maybe, like I said, a roadway surface here and there, but other than that, the track's pretty nice as it is.
They're mostly upgrading the bridges and other amenities.
This is in conjunction with their 65th anniversary. I think they're tying that in for an anniversary deal. So yeah, I don't think it's getting a big enough change that iRacing will have to worry about a rescan or anything like that. Maybe just some graphical updates, as the structures might change and be updated.
Are you guys surprised NASCAR's never came here? I know they've been in Sonoma at least since the 80s. I'm a little surprised they didn't alternate or maybe skip Sonoma some years and come down here. But can the stock car handle the corkscrew?
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. The corkscrew would be tough, wouldn't it?
IMSA doesn't even really run there much anymore. I don't know if any of the smaller divisions do, but I haven't. I'm only run the Class B and Class A sports cars mostly, and I can't remember the last time I was actually at Laguna Seca. It's been forever.
Yeah, I know the bottom series. They run there quite a bit, almost every season. It seems like in some of the series. So I got pretty familiar with this one, but it'd be nice. I don't know. IndyCar goes there every year still. Um, I don't know. It's just a nice, fun, unique track. It's in I don't want to say a remote part of California, but it's in a very expensive part of California, and you have to travel to get to it, sort of.
I
I know
wonder
it's not
if
not
iRacing, sorry, Brian, I was wondering if iRacing can just take photographs of the changes, and just work the graphics, off of photos.
well, that's typically how they did a lot of the graphics for buildings and stuff, I think, right? They don't scan buildings and things like that.
Right.
And especially if NASCAR is going to be there, they update a lot of the signage, right? For example, like Road America, when they were going there, they went ahead and upgraded all the signage, even though they didn't change the track or anything.
True. Even though it's not a part of iRacing, I think watching the sport bikes, the super bikes going through the corkscrew is one of the best, coolest things you can see in racing.
Ross Chastain probably tries to jump the corkscrew.
I think it's actually a time penalty when you do that. Well, as we continue to talk about what looks like real life updates, it looks like they're doing something for Pocono with a paddock. Steve.
Yeah, Pocono Raceway post on Twitter the final hours demo updates, and looks like they're demoing the old paddock and they're rebuilding it. I saw some of the new pictures of what they're planning on building. It looks pretty neat. It looks like they're going to put a new stage in and paddocks, and it's going to be great for the crowds to come visit the new paddock.
Yeah, based on the pictures, it looks like it could be a little cozy, which is always nice. But yeah, I don't know, have any idea what the paddock in Pocono looks like currently, but this looks like to be an all new 100% upgrade. I wonder if they're trying to get IndyCar to come back.
I think they're trying to put that Phoenix touch on it. Like, Donnie, you went to the Phoenix infield. I mean, this kind of resembles, oh, buy a drink, sit down somewhere, enjoy.
Well, especially with the fact that we're in the entertainment business with racing, you have to keep pumping up the amenities to get people to come to the track. I mean,
Um,
how often are NFL teams upgrading their stadiums now, right?
right. And Pocono, even though the track itself hasn't really received a whole lot of updates or anything, it's what I hear. It's one of the better tracks to go to for like camping out and staying for the weekend. You get a bunch of races that weekend if you're there. Um, and I just heard it's like one of the better tracks to go to for if you're gonna stay there.
I hear that quite a bit too. Are they an independent run track? That's probably a part of it. Is they get to kind of do what they want a little bit with their fan interaction.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah, it does remind me of Phoenix. Donnie, what did you think of the infield? Were you able to go there at Phoenix and see the same kind of thing they're doing there?
Yeah, it had its pros and cons. So I've done the infield in Vegas and Fontana, and here in Fontana and Phoenix are both NASCAR tracks. But I was slightly disappointed because if I buy an infield pass here in Fontana, I have pit road access. I'm walking through, not through the boxes, but right by the boxes on Saturdays. All the drivers are there. For Phoenix, you get that infield experience, but you can't access pit road, and you're kind of limited to what you can do. They do have a plenty of places where you can sit down and eat and not watch the race, but so far, I don't know. Each track has its pros and cons. I haven't found one that I like over the other one yet.
Yeah, they kind of fence you in where you can't get to those choice areas.
Yeah, Fontana, just you walk under the turn four tunnel, and then you walk your mile back to the pit area, and then you're there. You don't have garage passes, which nobody really gets, I guess. But once you're on the pit road, you're on pit road, and you're hanging out. You're in the grass area, and under the stage and whatnot if you'd like.
So another iRacing update that could probably be done with photographs after the fact.
This one reminds me. So during the Coke race, the Coke Championship race, Casey Kerwin drove to the victory lane in Phoenix. Did we have any idea that was happening? Was that a surprise for us? That you can access the actual victory lane stage in the infield on iRacing?
No, I knew you could do that.
Ah, okay. So I'm wondering if they update these paddocks as we go, if we're going to start getting more access to garage areas.
There's
Especially,
lots of tracks you can go. You can go through the barriers and go drive around the infield.
yeah, but then some of them you find black holes and stuff. Well, this next one's pretty extreme. It's about 18,000 X stream, isn't it, Donnie?
Yes, sir. So Brian Laster on Twitter at the One Pizza Man, he posted a tweet. I think we might have set a record for most incident points in a single race on iRacing. A 180-minute of figure eight action Total incident points for the entire server, 18,660. In one race, 33 cars started, couldn't fit full results in the one screenshot here. So figure eight race. So I'm assuming there's going to be some carnage. Hopefully they turn their force feedback down a tad. But yeah, 18,000. How do you look up this record? Is it? It's not going to flag that it's a record, but that's pretty incredible.
Oh, that is a big number. I've been in races where it's demo derby style and damage is off and like Oxford, like a small oval like Oxford, super lates or something like that. And I've run up, you know, hundreds of incidents, at the end of my race. I haven't thought about adding up the entire field, but even if I did that, I'm only thinking, wow, four digits, 1,000 or more. We're not. This guy's 18,000. If you think about that number, that's a huge, huge number.
Well, that's for the combined score, not one driver.
Well, and 180 minutes of action too. So
How many figure eight tracks do we have? It's just Irwindale. Do we have any others?
that's it.
2 hours of driving. That's got to be a challenge in itself.
It's 3 hours.
3 hours.
You're
Yeah.
right. You're right. Dang.
So that's, I mean,
Title idea,
so
math is hard.
I
It's
could
that
see 1,000 in a short race, like a 30-minute race. So I guess it makes sense.
it's that California education.
We're falling way behind. Fourth in the world economy, but we're falling behind in education.
This reminds me of a race we ran one time in the Reddit League where you actually had a team of four, and one guy was in a certain car and everybody else was in a different car that were just hunters. And your job was just to get your guy to complete the most laps in a certain amount of time. And but damage was on, but you had unlimited fast repairs. But every time you would knock a car out, they would have to tow. And it was a very interesting, silly, fun race.
Those Oxford races that I was mentioning, it usually boils down to everyone goes after the leader, whoever's leading the race or the top three, because like you said, they get knocked out or turned over or run off the track. Then that allows everyone else to try to catch up, because they're laps down.
It almost reminds me of roller derby on with race cars.
All right, Brian, looks like we've got a race recap coming up.
Yeah, so this is the eNASCAR College iRacing Series. They raced at Charlotte, um, and the winner for the day was Steve Wilson, the Coke driver. Um,
Surprise.
yeah, surprise, surprise. He's really been just winning a lot of these races in this college series, but he's got other Coke racers with him, and I don't know if they've been racing the whole college series or not, but they definitely are here now. Um, so Logan Clampett finished second in this race. This was, by the way, this was on the Charlotte road course. It wasn't the oval. Yeah, Logan Clampett finished second, and Garrett Lowe finished third. So y- those were the only three Coke drivers in the race. Steve Wilson actually won by 4 seconds over Clampett. Garrett Lowe was right behind Logan Clampett, and the next driver, who obviously was not a Coke driver, but finished 16, almost 17 seconds behind those guys. So, you know, which to be honest with you, I think that's pretty good if you're racing against this caliber to stay within 8, 16, 17 seconds. That's not bad. I know it sounds kind of silly, but when you're racing against those guys that are so skilled, so highly talented, and you can not get lapped, I would be a couple laps down. I guarantee you that. But uh, but yeah, it's really, really, really good showing for those non-Coke series drivers. Not too bad.
Well, Mike, you've been talking about running a lot of NIS this week. What do you think about this guy who is undefeated in the NIS?
Well, I actually raced him this week at Bristol, and he's the car to beat. His I rating coincidentally, at the time of the race was 69.69. That was a joke, but it's true. It was that number. Blake McCandless, who's the announcer for the Coke races, he's one of the announcers. He is cleaning house in the winter NIS. So at Daytona last week, he won every event he entered. He did the fixed and the open multiple times, and he won every time he entered. So he's undefeated in at Daytona. So he went into the Bristol week also undefeated. Now I haven't looked to see if he's still undefeated at Bristol or not, but well done. He's really quick on old tires. He's a good, half second faster than me at Bristol.
I'm sorry, Mike. Did he win last night? Your race?
I don't know. I'm gonna go look.
I know he was running in the lead last time I was able to talk to you about it during the race. So I'm curious if he won. But it's pretty impressive, especially with the 87 car at Daytona. It's not a draft, it's not a pack race. You actually have to be up front and utilize a little bit more skill than normal at Daytona. So to win three of the races last week is pretty good.
Mike, how difficult was that car to drive at Bristol? Did you have any trouble?
Fantastic.
Yeah,
No,
I
it's great.
wrecked last night on my own. Spun it out. I mean, it's hard. I mean, it's one of the hardest things I've done. That car and that track combo, but it is fun, right, Donnie?
Yeah, it's fun, and this is how everybody's different. I find that so far to be my favorite car track combo. It was great last night. You're able to pass on the low line, go up high if you wanted to, weave your way through traffic if needed. It was great. You just had to take care of it on new tires going in, just so you don't overdo it and spin yourself out. But it was fantastic. If I can run Sunday morning, I would, but I'm not going to be around.
Yeah, the winner of Top Split last night was Kyler Wynn. So McCandless' streak is broken, but yeah, he's still the car to beat.
All right, looks like we're already jumping into some iRacing events. The first one's coming up is a 2022 fixed setup Winter Derby. It's a 300 lap race. It's going to be held at Five Flags Speedway, which is based in Pensacola, Florida. It's going to be in the super late model stocks. Looks like there's quite a few time slots. It doesn't. This is not your normal like endurance special event time. So we got 5 time slots going from Wednesday at 9 GMT, or really 2100 GMT, Friday at 2 GMT, Saturday at 10 GMT, Saturday at 17, and Monday at 0200. Got to have a D oval license, fixed setup, 4 sets of tires, 3 green white checkers, attached qualifying, um, and it's got a drive-through limit of 25 incidents with a DQ at 32.
Now that was the fixed, and then there's also the open, so they have both.
Yep, and on our script, we've just got a link to the forum post for the open. And if you pop that open, it's probably almost all the same except different start times, and it's open.
Yeah, the times are offset from the fixed to the open, and so if you're interested, you can actually run both.
These
So,
times look pretty similar to NIS times when I'm looking at the open sets, right?
Yeah, they're NIS times.
So the dates are next week, right?
Yeah, I'm looking to run Sunday morning. I'm trying to clear my calendar for that one, but it won't be hard. I think it's 6 a.m. for me here to run. This series, so the short track guys, would it do well if they had their own professional series? Because it's almost two different disciplines, in my opinion. The short track racing as opposed to the national touring series. Would you guys like to see a Coke series style series for the short tracks?
Yeah,
I would like to
of
see
course.
it, but I don't know how much it would draw because it's not running the big NASCAR tracks.
It's not, but I mean, we've got rally, dirt, two different dirt oval. We have the off road trucks. I mean,
And what's their
biggest
purse compared to the Coke series?
like 10,000.
Yeah.
Well, you got leagues out there doing it already. I mean, SARA is a very well-known, late model league.
They also, the super lates, I believe, have kind of some established strength of field races as well. That they just know that's when everybody's going to show up to have their biggest, toughest field. Adam used to run a lot of those.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you guys about having a series specifically for short local track type of races. I think that would be pretty cool. Um, maybe make it in late models. It's almost a different animal than like NASCAR is. It's different, and a lot of guys just really love that Saturday night type racing feel that these cars put on. I think that's a good idea.
What about like a short track invitational where every week it's a different car? Like they're all running on short tracks, but maybe one week it's late model, the next it's super lates, the next might be maybe the modifieds or the big block. That would be cool. And then you have a short track champion.
Start doing something like that though, and that's really more something like what majors would do rather than an official series. How many series in the real world are there where you're changing cars every week and changing class? All right, so this I don't think that's something that should be a iRacing style. That's more something set up for leagues. Now, some of these ideas are done by leagues. We just don't. If we tend to only go for official, that's where we end up.
We'll talk about crazy ideas for leagues. How about the next one, David?
Well, this was being presented by Dinner with Racers. And it's on Thursday. They're calling it the dumbest iRacing league, and it's returning with the dumbest event yet. It says, can an EV set to run 10 minutes outrun a Formula V with a 40-minute race?
Hmm.
And
Now I'm interested in running an EV for once. I mean, for the first time since it's been announced, I will race an electric car. If in an event like this, it's very interesting because think about it. If it's only set to run for 10 minutes, but you have to make it last 40 minutes, what are you doing? You're running around at quarter throttle?
Yeah, I'm not sure. Does this car that's in the service have any kind of braking energy where it energizes the
yes,
batteries? Okay, well,
yes.
maybe you're just dragging the brake.
Yeah, but the more you drag, if you drag the brake while you're throttling, it doesn't harvest the energy. You're kind of that's like perpetual motion. It doesn't really give you more energy. You boost up and then you slow down and you get some of the energy back, and then you lose some of it to heat.
That'd be interesting.
Well,
What was the name of that Porsche car, the electric car?
Mission R,
Mission?
Mission R. It's got that ugly whining sound. Um, it'll be interesting to check out, but I mean, you could go. I don't know. Does it tell us what track it's going to be yet?
I was just trying to find that.
I like I like on the picture brochure for this race, they have a dumpster on fire. So it's dumpster fire race.
Perfect.
I think that's funny. That's really cool.
Okay, so which would you pick, the Formula V or the Porsche Mission R?
I'd go with the Formula V because yeah, I'd rather be racing than completely in fuel saving mode for an entire 40 minutes.
Yeah, Formula V for me.
Will will a Formula V run 40 minutes on a tank of gas? They don't have big tanks. They might have to stop.
Yeah, stop and go.
Do they get fuel?
Yeah, you can
I've
get
never
fuel at a
tried.
pit stop. I've gotten fuel in a pit stop in a Formula V before.
I don't think I've ever even sat in a Formula V yet.
Oh, you're missing out. It's fun and
I
What?
You
free
haven't
and
tried the
free, so you have it.
Yeah, but I already
soapbox
have
derby?
sports cars.
This is happening in 10 minutes. This race here.
Oh, really?
All right, so we
Did
may
you
just have
find the
to live.
track?
We may have to live report on it.
Did you find the track, Donnie?
Not yet, but I'm going to try to find. Oh, we got a link.
So, David, one of the funnest things to try in iRacing is the soapbox derby down Mount Washington in the Formula V. What you do is you just hit the gas to get the car rolling, and then you
Look at
you let it
David.
roll the whole way down.
Well, there's a setup for it. There's a setup for the soapbox derby that gives you like zero point 0.1 gallons of gas, so it's just enough to get the car started and moving, and then you run out of gas, so you can't cheat.
Yeah, they
Right.
said that
So
they
you just
turned it
leave
into a
it
fixed
neutral.
setup. You may find that fun, but to each his own, man. No, if I'm going to go downhill on my own power, it's going to be on a pair of skis.
There you go. I mean, do rollerblades down it, Dave.
Ugh.
A luge would be fun.
Hey, real quick before we move on, so the Winter Derby race we just talked about from iRacing, that obviously is their version of the Snowball Derby, right? Because that's what same track. It's happening on the weekend of the first. How does iRacing not have the license to be able to use Snowball Derby? That seems to me odd. They have all these top tier race names that they're able to use, but it almost seems like they don't have the license to call it a snowball derby. Would that be that hard to get, you think?
Well,
It-
we've seen
that-
it. Some of these smaller tracks say no to iRacing for whatever reason. They don't want the awesome publicity that iRacing can bring them. But yeah, you're right. I don't find a reason that we can't call this and have an official logo and partner it with the real snowball derby. Because I'll be watching the real event as well. So I don't know.
it just comes down to each individual negotiation.
Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe. And it's not like Five Flags didn't let them scan the track. So why wouldn't you let them, you know, why wouldn't you not let them have the license if that's who owns the
There's
license? I don't even
probably
know
a
about that.
sponsor involved, I would imagine. Maybe a conflicting iRacing sponsor. Who knows?
Yeah, I just thought it was odd. You can get the Rolex 24 or whatever, the 24 hours a Daytona or whatever, but you can't get a snowball derby.
Okay, podcast housekeeping. Leave us a review on your favorite podcast platform. Make it easier for more listeners to find us. Please mention the podcast to your fellow drivers so they don't miss out. We do appreciate it. Check us out on Discord. It's been kind of quiet there this week. But also, we have our website, iRacersLounge.com. We're in regular rotation at the Performance Motorsports Network. And I guess it's called iRock TV now. Sim Racing Channel has been rebranded.
All right, we're going to open up hardware with a little talk about the OpenXR toolkit. I know, Steve, you kind of hinted at this a little bit last week, but now you can really dive into the details.
Yeah, so I was having some issues with my G2, and it ended up being just a cable. But after I got the new cable, I did some reading on the OpenXR toolkit with OpenXR. I'd tried OpenXR before, and they just kind of implemented the toolkit. And so I implemented it. I use this guy, Paul Gallen's settings that he had here, and I was able to turn everything up to high with my graphics, which for some reason I can't do with OpenVR. I was on my 3080. I had some pretty high settings and it was running okay, but for some reason with the 4090, I haven't been able to run it as high. But the thing with the OpenXR toolkit is the graphics are amazing. It's almost it's like looking at a 4K screen in my goggles. I've never seen it so clear, so I'm pretty excited about it. There is the only downfall is I do have a motion rig, and they do for Open VR they do make a SRS makes an Open SRS. They make a motion compensation for VR, which definitely helps with the bounce. But the one thing that OpenXR has is they do have a shaking reduction for motion rigs. So I did use that, and I did set down my settings on my motion rig, which is good because I've been running at um, the Monster Mile this week, and it's pretty bouncy. So I got my settings down to where it's pretty comfortable. But you guys can go to, I put all the links to set up the OpenXR on the show notes here. And I recommend you go try it. It's really simple, and I mean the graphics were amazing, and the overhead is amazing for VR.
This might be a stupid question, but is this something that anyone with VR can use?
Yep, anybody, either Oculus or any of the WMR headsets or Vario, you can use all those headsets on it. And there is a open compensation for Open VR for Open XR that's in development right now. It's in alpha state. I was going to try to implement it, but it was like reading Greek, so I think I'll wait till they have an actual installer for it.
And David, how is this different than the thing that you were talking about a couple months ago, FFV?
Fixed foveated rendering, which can be done, I think, on OpenXR as well. W- all that does is make the parts of your vision on your VR that you don't look directly at blurry. It so you don't have to render it as high of a resolution in places you're not looking at, and you can't tell that it's blurry because it's already blurry coming into your vision because it's all on your peripheral, and that gives a lot of performance boost for either one. Um, I'm excited to hear about the better graphics running, but the thing that will keep me from running it is overlays. You can't do more than one overlay on it yet. And I just recently did a YouTube video that I posted to chat to show the guys where I run my overlays, and if I can't have those, I won't run it.
Yeah, that is another downfall. I looked at your video. Thanks for posting it. But I think at this point right now, the issues that I was having, I've been having some issues with Steam VR too. Not wanting to load, and I don't know why that is. I've reinstalled it and stuff, but Steam VR just sometimes it runs good and sometimes it's buggy. I don't know.
I've got it running pretty good for me now with the current setup and the 3090. You do have to have strong hardware to do it, but it's well, it didn't make it onto the script, but I'll try to make sure we get it on here for next week if we record, so people can go watch that video. I recorded the whole race, but the first 10 minutes really shows you how to set it up and the way like positioning my stuff. And if you watch it, you'll basically see it's you think it's so much on the screen, but it's almost all out of the way. So I only use it when I need it, and otherwise I'm looking straight out of a clear windshield, pretty much.
Can you toggle that on and off while you're racing, Dave, or once you set it up, it's on?
Once you set it up, it's on.
Okay.
Well, well, what's interesting is with the OpenXR toolkit, they have an overlay that's in there, so you can watch your overhead. That's really good. So maybe as they develop it, maybe they will allow for more overlays, hopefully.
I saw my first anomaly weird thing with the FFV recently while I was doing some road racing, and I kind of got like a black, you have the ring around that where the it changes the resolution, and I was getting kind of like a black upside down U where that change happened. At first I thought it was like I was driving through like one of those, like the Michelin tire thing that they have sometimes. It looked just like that, but it's not. It was something with the FFV that was showing some black uh, in that section. It goes away after a second or two, and it was just in certain parts of the track, which is kind of weird. But it's the first time I've had any kind of weird things happening with FFV.
Well, Mike, it looks like we have a whole series of videos from a new company called Acetec SimSports, or at least they're jumping into a new area.
They are. Yeah, Acetec Sim Sports we've heard of because they have put out some pedals. And those pedals have been fairly popular. Um, and now all of a sudden this week we have a slew of information from this company. They are expanding. They are getting into the wheel business, um, bases and everything. So the first video is introducing the direct drive wheelbases for Ace Sim Sports. They have the 12 Newton meters, 18 and 27. And those are some interesting numbers. I mean, those are going to compete with some very well-known wheelbases like the 27, the big one. That's obviously going to compete with the SimiCube Pro 2, which is 25,
Yeah,
or
the
the DD2, right?
yeah, the prices were really reasonable too. I mean, they're $1,000 for the 18 Newton meter and 1,500 for the 27 Newton meter, and then the 12 Newton meter. They have a bundle. You have to purchase the wheel and a set of pedals
Pedals.
for, yeah, for $1,350. Um, and it's all upgradable too. That was interesting what he said. Um, the You could buy the 12 Newton meter wheel or base, and at a later time you can upgrade the PC board and the power supply to 18 nanometers, so, or Newton meters.
It's fascinating that the upgrade path. It's kind of like what Fanatec did with DD1 and DD2, where they're technically the same motor, but and obviously these are the same motor, but if you have, like you said, a different power supply and a different PC board, boy, you're going to get the increased power. So, for I don't know, he didn't say how much the upgrade path was, I think, but that's a fascinating thing that hey, you can get in on a cheaper price, and then later, a year later or something, step it up.
Yeah, yeah, that's really interesting. And the did you watch the other video on the new pedals that they made separate?
I did. I couldn't believe how many different videos they have. They have the steering wheel, and the pedals, and then, like you said, the package, and I mean, we could just go on to this forever.
Yeah, the CEO or the owner of the company is pretty interesting because he couldn't see the reason why anybody wanted to be able to split up the or have the pedals where they could move them around. He figured they were good just on the one platform, but he decided to go with it. And it seems like the pedals are upgradable too, and you can also invert those with the new pedals also.
Yeah, the S series pedal, and what he has is they're individual pedals. So the throttle, the brake, the clutch, you buy three pieces if you want all three. And and like you said, they're easy to invert, um, and so forth. So he's got some neat stuff. He's got a Formula wheel as well. It looks really nice. It's called the Forte Formula wheel. He's got that entry level package with the direct drive and the pedals and the wheel all together, like I think you said 1,300. It's interesting the way they did the pricing because you can get the top two bases by themselves, but you can't get the cheaper base by itself. You have to buy the package to get the cheaper base.
And the lower priced wheel is also upgradable. You can upgrade it to the better wheel with a computer board, and I didn't quite understand all that how you upgrade it, but you can upgrade that. And then he also has bigger grips because he said he had big hands and the smaller grips didn't fit, so you can get larger grips for it also.
Now, they were talking in the forums about this, obviously, and some people pointed out the history of this company. Before they made pedals, they had some kind of cooler. They do PC coolers for like you put on the chip to cool the chip, and apparently did good business by chasing people that were infringing on their trademark. And so a lot of their business was going after other companies who had used their cooler patent. And there were a couple quotes in here where they got paid $500,000 from a lawsuit and this and that. And so they come from the computer industry, and now obviously they're fully involved in the sim hardware industry.
That's interesting. He also said that if you purchase the pedals previously, you can get a $200 gift card um, off the website if you want to purchase any of the wheels.
The quick release, I believe he said they're paying to use the Granite device quick release, which is the semi-cube one. And so there's going to be some similarity there. The other thing is you will be able to put third-party wheels on these bases without issue, unlike Fanatec and some others.
That could be a selling point in itself over Fanatec for some people.
Right. Price points, I mean, right where you would think they are. The Invicta wheelbase, 1,500 euros. I mean, the SemiQ Pro 2 is right at that, or maybe 100 less. So it's a competitive price. I tell you what, I mean, if you're looking at a direct drive, you need to consider these guys. There's no
Can you
reviews out yet, but
can you mount? Yeah, I guess we'll see the reviews, but can you mount to the front of these direct drives?
I don't think so. Not that I saw. The design, I mean, what do you think of the design, guys? And part of the design, he's got little LED strips on the nicer ones that go along the sides, and those just like pop in and out, and that's part of the upgrade path. Like you not only get the power supply, the new PC board, but you get the little LED strips too.
Yeah, they were. I mean, they're a nice looking unit, and with all the different mounts, he had a desk mount also that you could mount these to, along with a front mount too, so you can see all the LEDs through it.
Visually, they look better than the Logitech wheel that just came out, and potentially a wheel down below. We'll talk about later, but I mean, this looks like a company that got a lot of money really quick, maybe from what Mike was speaking of, and now they slowly started into the market. Now they're just jumping in. So looks like it'll probably compete on the Fanatec level, is my guess.
They also have a video from Kevin Magnussen, the Formula One driver, where he gives his impressions of the Invicta uh, Ace wheel. And of course, he has a lot of clout, and he says, "Hey man, this feels really good, and it's matching the forces that I'm used to feeling, and da 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 da, and that kind of stuff." It's impressive. So even celebrity endorsement, pretty cool. I gotta say though, I'm impressed, with this company. The way that they rolled out this product line with all the different videos, the like the CEO, describing them in detail, telling us why they designed it this way and why they made choices and why they decided to have upgrade pass and all this stuff. And so I was very impressed.
Yeah, I enjoyed watching all the videos.
Yeah.
You gotta have a little bit of worry though when he does say, "I don't understand why people want to move their pedals around." So I wonder how much he's actually sim raced in the last 5 years to develop this company. So I mean, hopefully it has some good people behind it building these products with some good ideas. But that you hear some things here and there that make you think like, but like you guys said, the packages were good. Rolling these things out the way they did, organized. I like the videos as well. I always watch them. The guy's
I,
kind of cool to listen to sometimes.
I always prefer to have my brake skewed over closer to the clutch than the throttle.
You mean you want to be able to move them where you want them?
Yeah, imagine that.
That
Well,
with some coaches.
I thought it was interesting, that he didn't understand why he didn't want to do that, but because of all the feedback he got, he decided that he needed to break up the pedal sets. So at least
Well,
he's listening to his clients.
well then there. Okay, there you go. That just says maybe he does listen and he does care about what people say, and he'll go against his own opinion and he doesn't have too much of an ego to listen to the people.
Donnie, that last video, the S series pedal, that's the one where they're individual pedals, and so they call them the S series fully adjustable.
I'm looking at the thing in his hand, and that is a big footprint. We're going to talk about a large footprint on a pedal here later, but if you add a heel plate, I guess the heel plate is in front of the pedal. Okay, it's the one down below that has a gigantic
It's
footprint
like
for a pedal
18
mounting.
inches long or something, right?
Yeah, it's huge.
So before move on, I have a live update from the track from the dinner dinner with racers. They're in practice right now with just about 12 minutes to go. The fastest or Formula V is about 50 seconds slower than the Porsche.
They're running at iRacing Super Speedway, and they're running the apron, and they're running right along pit wall. That V looks microscopic on this track. It probably can't even run the banking. It'll probably just tip over.
Looks like a micro machine.
They can't run that fast during the race. They'll run out of time or power or whatever.
I wish I took myself less seriously sometimes and actually maybe participated in some of the stuff, because it does look like it could be a lot of fun.
Sometime during the winter break, I'm going to host a few oval races with all three classes in them.
So they're fun.
I don't know
Reminds
if
me
you.
of sorry,
I don't know
Steve,
if.
Darlington with the radicals, and you don't even go on the banking. You just stay on the flat.
Yeah, I don't know if any of you guys listen to those guys' podcast, but Dinner with Racers, they do a great job too at their podcast.
I'm glad to be reminded of them because I was subscribed to them, and then when I switched phones, I had to redo all my subscriptions, so I got to put them back on the list.
What is their content? Is it just iRacing, or do they talk all about racing?
They interview all kinds of racers, different racers. I mean, famous, NASCAR racers, road racers, and they actually have dinner with them. They travel around, and they're really, really good podcasts while they're eating dinner.
I like it. I'll check them out.
Yeah, they do. They do quite a bit in the off season during when nothing's happening. So good to listen to.
All right, Brian, we got a quick tip and trip, or tip and trick, trip and man. We got a title that is tripping me up. It's a tip and trick from the Sim Pit.
Yeah, so this is a YouTube video, not a long one, like 3.5 minutes long, from Simpit and our friend Sean Cole, who uh, runs that site. So what he was having an issue with is he's got a pretty elaborate rig, triple monitors, and it's up against the wall, and his computer tower is behind the monitors, and it's hard to get to for him. So in order to get to the power switch on the power button on the computer case, he has to move some microphone booms and wedge behind some monitors to get to it. And he was like, he's just thinking there's got to be a better way. Well, he found that there's a remote switch that ties directly into the motherboard of your computer. It comes with a 6 foot length of cable, and it's basically a power button that you can relocate from your tower case anywhere on your rig, so you can turn on your computer and turn it off right from the comfort of your sim chair. So it was a fairly inexpensive deal. He showed on the video where he got it from. It was like $10 and change, so nothing expensive. 6 foot of cable, even goes through the process of how you connect it to your motherboard and the power SW slots on there. It looked really simple to do, and if you're having that same problem where you have an issue getting to the power button on your computer, this might be a really good option for you. So I would definitely check it out if I were you.
Yeah, he had another pretty cool option too. I don't know if you saw it on there where you could do a, remote switch. So you'd have a key fob just like you could start up your car, and it plugs right into the motherboard and it's wireless.
That's even better. I like that.
Yeah, that was another option. That was cool too.
You might lose that wireless key fob though. You won't lose the
Yeah.
wired option.
I actually have not for my for my computer, but for my monitors and for my light that I turn on so that my VR doesn't get confused is they're both on remote switches that just go straight to outlets, basically. Or you plug it. It gives you three. It's a a power supply expander or splitter. You got three plugins that it's plugged into, and you just click the button and it turns them on or off.
Yeah, it just doesn't work with the PC though, huh? You still got to push the button on the PC.
Well, if you shut it down properly, yeah. If you were just to use the power button, if you were just to shut it down cold, um, it would think that it just lost power and it would kick on, but you turn it back on. But that's not particularly good for the file system.
I I don't need this. I mean, it's no big deal for me to walk around the front of my rig and push the button on my computer. I think in my situation, I think it points out how nice it is to have the rig on wheels. I mean, Donnie, I had you over at my house. We had that. I showed you, how I had everything on wheels. We could spin that thing in a circle, and I had it on a tether, and I really have access to everything.
Yeah, I liked it. I wasn't going to go with the independent or the a mount that mounts to my rig. I was going to go with an independent stand. But after hearing you talk about it before in the past and looking at Lawrence's, I actually picked those up in a couple weeks. Now I just want to completely 100% everything kept within the rig itself. So for me, I can't do wheels. I'm on carpet, so I have a furniture sliders that go underneath my legs, and I can actually move it around pretty good. But regarding this video, I was kind of getting nervous about because right now I can just I kick it with my toe, computer turns on. But once I attach it to the rig moving forward, and if I have to move it around in this room, am I going to be put in his position on turning it on depending on where I face the computer? So knowing that there's an option, it's pretty simple, so pretty cool. So that'll help me make a decision later how I want to mount the PC.
Are you not doing wheels because you don't want the depression in your carpet, or you just don't think it'll roll? Because
It
I've got
won't roll. This
I've,
carpet was expensive and it's like that thick, and it will
uh,
just yeah
I got apartment carpet, so it rolls just fine.
yeah. This would just dig in.
I'd
I
rather have an easier way to turn on like my accessories. Like, it's hard to get to the switch for the G belt and the G seat where I have everything set up. So that stuff is, I got to walk around. I got to bend, almost get on my hands and knees to reach the switch because it's right next to the power supply, and I like to keep it someplace compact so I don't have wires and stuff running all over the place. So for me, I'd rather have something I could turn on some of these accessories, not the computer. The computer I have in a real easy place to reach.
You just need those remote power switches then.
Probably right.
Yeah, I've got power switches mounted on the side of the wall that I can reach with my rig to turn on, the G belt and the steering wheel and all that stuff, and all my amps and my motion rig. But the computer itself, I've got a power switch for it. But like one day the electricity flickered on and off, and getting out my rig, you got to unbelt yourself, take the wheel off, and then I got to get up, go behind the rig, and push the button to start the computer back up. So that might be something I'll look at is maybe the fob.
If you're worried about losing it, just tether it to your steering wheel, or somewhere up where you sit.
As long as my wife doesn't have it, it won't get lost.
All right, this next one doesn't really come with a lot of words, but we're looking at an actual schematic of the new SimuCube active pedal mount.
Yeah, I was on. They've got a Discord channel, and they posted this a couple days ago. All the dimensions, because I think a lot of people are worried if they're going to be able to fit in their rig or not. So I did some measurements. I'd have to switch a couple of um, take some of my butt kickers out and probably put them on the outside because I've got them on the inside of the rig if I decide to go with these pedals. But I don't know now that Lawrence got me hooked up if I'm going to go with these or not.
So, what's the dimension you're worried about here?
It's the overall length I was worried about. So these are they're 15.83 inches long, so they're fairly long. And with my motion rig, I've got a front plate on it, the 160 series, and that's why I was worried about if where my pedals are mounted, if they were going to fit and not, hit the front plate or have enough room that they would actually fit in there.
Yeah, for this pedal tray I have here, they would have to hang out the back of the rig to be able to fit with the heel plate. It's pretty. I mean, there's some technology on this thing, so it's got to be pretty decent. But it's a pretty long footprint.
Is it okay for it to hang off? That's the thing. I don't know if we know where it mounts, like,
Yeah, right there. So you have. It looks like nine. I'm doing California math here in real time. 9.6 inches between the furthest ends of the mounting holes. So you could probably hang off. Looks like here's some more California math. Almost an inch out the back.
I see.
That actually might fit if I hang out off an inch of this rig here with the heel plate. But these don't come with the heel plate. I imagine you'll have to. Hopefully your rig has a heel plate.
Yeah, there
All right.
seems to be a ton of interest, on both Discord and on the iRacing channel with these pedals. So it'd be interesting.
Well, you mentioned butt kickers a minute ago, Brian. It looks like the next thing we have is from Slip Angle, and it's a new four-corner base acre system.
Yeah, so it's a pretty interesting system. It's almost like a four corner actuator system, except instead of using actuators, they have LFE low frequency emitters that are mounted to the floor with like a spring loaded support to it. So basically, if you take your 8020 rig, it comes with four little shelves, I'll call them, that are just big enough for the LFEs to attach to. You mount those shelves in each four corners of your rig. The LFEs are attached to the shelf that they give you, and then it connects to a spring-loaded foot that goes to the ground, and it uses the LFE frequencies to simulate the four corners of the car as you're driving it. So it's basically butt kicker type technology, but used in a way that kind of gives you a little bit more feedback from from the different corners of your car about what's going on with it, and over things like that. So um, it's a definitely a budget version of a sim type or a motion type of feel, but just using LFEs instead of the actuators.
And
Um,
this
it
the spring load
runs
is
through.
sorry.
Sorry, I was just going to say real quick that it runs through SimHub just like Base Shakers do, and you can fine tune it with all their software, which is all really good to customize and set to different things, different functions, different feedback.
And if you look at the on the website, the springs are actually listed and labeled as isolators, which prevent the vibration from carrying over into the floor. Keep it in the rig.
And I like this. So I can't do motion where I'm at right now. Even I think the butt kicker would be a little crazy, but this looks fantastic. If those isolators do isolate enough and I'm not vibrating, the walls in here. And the price ain't bad. If you're getting all four corners and you're getting the amplifier, I like it.
It's priced right too at $499 for all those. I mean, if they're Dayton pucks, I mean, you're going to spend that on LFEs if you went with butt kickers alone. You actually probably have closer to $800 just in butt kickers. So
Yeah, butt kickers are expensive now. Butt kickers got real expensive with the new pro lines. So buying four butt kickers would be way more than that.
I do
This is
think they need to work on their copper wiring for their audio. We need to get that black insulated so it could look good, or insulate it yourself, I guess. But other than that, looks good.
Yeah, our guest from last week, Mike Watts, he sent this to me because we were talking about isolating butt kickers.
So could I do this without the springs on my rig with wheels?
Well, you can get four LFEs and just use them like butt kickers, I would imagine. And for the price of the whole system, you'd be saving money between getting four butt kickers.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're just not going to get that probably minor motion of each independent corner going up and down. I don't know what kind of travel this will have, but they got springs on it for some kind of travel.
Yeah, looking at those spring things, I wonder if I could mount that somehow to the wheel, like have them in between the rig and the wheel, so I still get that, up and down off the spring thing.
So to get crazy, you'll just have to mount your wheels where they can break apart, and then you can hinge them back down when you're ready to roll it. So yeah, if you have your wheels in contact with your tile there, you're probably not going to feel any spring motion.
But
Well, the
maybe you can
specifics.
maybe you can mount the wheels on the below the insulators, but then you might end up in the next room. Who knows?
Well, that's what I was thinking is the wheels under at the bottom and the insulators in between.
The insulators, yeah, the insulators are there to keep the vibration from going down, though. You'd have to lock the wheels probably if you did that. Pretty neat idea. I might go that route if this butt kicker uh, kicks, the bucket at some point. But let's move on. We got a couple of more Logitech G Pro reviews. What do you think, Mike?
Yep. Carl Gosling, one of my favorite reviewers. It's fascinating what he does. He actually buys the wheel, 1,000 pounds, and then he immediately sells it on Facebook Marketplace as soon as the video's over.
With an honest description.
And so he liked it. I mean, when it came down to driving it, I mean, he liked it. He didn't like the True Force. Now, that was a little different from what we've heard on some of the other reviews. But he said you can turn the True Force off and just go with straight force feedback from the sim. And he thought it was great. Now, as far as the presentation of the product, same thing we've heard before. It's big, it's bulky, it's plastic.
Yeah, I agree with you, Mike. This Carl fella, I think he's climbing up to number two on my favorite guy to watch for reviews. He just comes across as very honest and genuine, and that's probably because he buys the product himself and then resells it. Um, but he was the first person to give any pushback on the review for this wheel, and it kind of makes me worry about where the other reviewers stand on the review process because they all fell in love with this thing and called it the greatest wheel they've ever had. Well, some of them did, but yeah. Sorry.
Most of them were bragging about the force feedback and how much more detail they're seeing in it. And I got some information on one of the Discord servers I'm in today about what makes them quote more detailed is not actually that, or this might be the case with both Logitech, but also other simulators, is that they're adding extra information that you would not actually get through the steering column. So they're almost making stuff up rather than just giving you what you would really feel in a steering wheel. And so that's what True Force and some of these other stuff is giving you. It's probably adding pedal information that you normally wouldn't feel. And that's why they think they're getting more detail.
Yeah, so he actually brings that exact fact up in the video, and he basically rips apart True Force for that very thing. And I had no idea this was a thing, but you can have the motor revving through the wheel, and even on his video, it just sounded like you would think your wheel's breaking if you heard it.
Scrambling kind of noise. And
So it's essentially turning your wheel into a butt kicker.
A butt kicker getting all the haptic feedback through your wheel, which is kind of odd.
now, like you said, he ripped it apart that you want this haptic stuff in the middle of your force feedback that you're trying to feel because it just muddies the water. And I'm a little dismayed because the SimiCube Pro 2 software that they designed for their pedal that they said they're going to bring into the wheelbases is pretty much the same idea, I believe, where they're going to introduce haptic type of feedback in with the normal stuff.
But that's where you're supposed to feel it. Have you ever locked up your anti-lock brakes in the car and felt the
And your
pedal
wheel
push back
shakes,
out? Well, the wheel not just the wheel shakes, but you can actually feel the pedal push out. It will shove your foot back up.
and you'll get that vibrating anti-lock motion from the pedal as well. You know, I was listening to this video particularly while I was driving. I had it mounted next to my seat or wherever, and I was listening, and I was trying to find all the bumps in the road as he was talking about it, and I've hit the rumble strips, and it's just interesting to hear him describe it because he describes it in such a different way than everybody else does. He seems to have a lot of knowledge on the haptics and whatnot, but it was just interesting to see what I can feel listening to him talk about it in a real wheel with on a real road.
I mean, he was kind of saying like what you're alluding to, that you don't feel the bumps and the rumble strips in a real car as much as you do in this force feedback, wheel.
Well, not in the wheel. You're supposed to feel it more in your butt, which is what I like about the butt kicker. And I'm getting away with just the one, but particularly I have the traction slit, cranked up really high, and I'm always able to tell in the oval car when it's getting ready to pop loose as a result. And I feel like that's where I get my extra little bit of speed when everybody's complaining about the car being a little bit loose, is that I can feel it trying to break before it breaks.
Now, Mike, did he say you could turn the True Drive off, or is it True Drive? True Force. Can you
True
turn that off?
force. Yeah, he indicated he did. Yes.
All right, so that's an option. If you do pick up this wheel, you can't avoid the haptic through the wheel if you just turn it off.
He did say it was good quality plastic, though.
He did. He did.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, metal where there needs to be metal, and plastic where you don't really need metal. That's what he said. Where you mount it, it's nice and strong.
Said the quick release was good. No flex in the quick release or the wheel itself or steering wheel rim.
All right, well, Steve, it looks like we can go to a sim racing center now to try out the D-Box haptic systems.
Yeah, it looks like there's four centers where you can go try the D-Box haptic systems. And let's see if I can. There's F1 Arcade supplied by Visario. That's the first one, and that's located in the United Kingdom. And then there's Sim Motorsports Race Center, which is also in the United Kingdom. And then we've got one here in the good old US of A, Andretti Motorsports in Orlando, Florida. And then the last one is in Hamburg, Germany at Derby Flot. So if you want to go try the system out, if you're in the States here, go to Andretti Motorsports and check it out.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
All right, continuing on the wheel review train, Donnie, we have a SimuCube wheel review.
Yeah, Will from Boosted Media reviewed SimiCube's CSX3. It's their newest wheel, and I feel like he just reviewed this one, or I just watched a video regarding it with him. But either way, he likes it. Gives it a good review, high quality. The buttons are good to go as well. The caps are aluminum for your rotary dials. He said the grips were pretty good, and the paddles as well. It's probably with this wheel here inching with the Gomez wheel and as being one of the better wheels you can get on the market.
I like it. I mean, of course is just like the one I bought, but it's got the display.
Yeah, can't. What would he say the price for this one is?
I think it's 1,500 euros.
That seems to be the price people are hitting for their top of the line wheel, not including that $2,400 Porsche wheel. But $1,500 seems to be towards the top.
I'll echo what Will Ford said about this wheel. I mean, obviously, it's got the same design very much like I have. It does have a third set of paddles, though, which is kind of nice. That those are optional. But I gotta point out the magnetic cord connection is freaking awesome. I mean, it it rips off if the wheel goes crazy because it's magnetic. It's very strong. It sticks on there well. It's just a pleasure to use. And then the buttons and the grips, I mean, are just great. I mean, very high quality.
All right, Mike, you always are saying gotta go triples, gotta go triples. Why not go ahead and go quints, man?
Oh, one quick mention, Sim Labs is having a Black Friday 15% off. They don't have any good social media or website that shows it unless you go there and look, but we do have a link to their page.
I did walk right over that one, yeah, because I saw the picture and jumped right down. He's announced his will too. I'm surprised we don't have anything up there on that.
Yeah, so we got a TikTok video here of triples.
That's not triples, man.
Oh, wait a minute, quadruples. Yeah,
Quint.
so that's why I threw this on the script is what's the deal with quadruples? Has anyone tried this?
I'm. Is it 4 or is it
I thought
5?
I counted five.
Is it five? Okay, so maybe yeah, the video's moving quick, but my point is there's a seam between the two screens right in the middle. I mean, that would drive me nuts.
It might be
No,
4,
it's only
Dave.
four.
Now I'm looking at it. Yeah, it might be 4. The only problem with 4 is the dead center of the screen is where the two monitors would be together, right? Otherwise, it's if you look dead center at the one, then there's only going to be one to your left, two to your right. The dead center of the screen would actually be where the two monitors come together.
He spent 20 grand to make a TikTok video. So I do have a real question for you guys regarding Ford monitors, the way he did it. So in the back of our graphic cards, we have the three, or at least I do, the three display ports and the one HDMI port. How on earth is he hooking this up?
Just plug them all in, right?
Got to get adapters. If
I
you got
I
four
have
ports, you can just use an adapter on one of
Okay,
them.
so I
all
have
right,
triples and then I have a fourth above and they all plug into the video card.
right.
Yeah,
But
you can
that
get
on
4
that
into a
fourth one,
card.
you don't have an adapter on display port adapter. It's just a regular HDMI for that fourth monitor.
Right. It's just straight. Yeah, there's I think a HDMI and three display ports or something.
So in order to get that the way he has it, he has okay, that makes sense. I don't know. Seems unnecessary, but
Yeah, if you look at the 18-second mark, you can see he's got 4 plugs going into his graphics card.
The seam down the middle is no good. That's a
Right.
deal killer.
Am I right?
Yeah.
That just doesn't work. You'd have to have 5. You'd have to have an odd number for the center of the screen to be,
Right.
in between one monitor. So why didn't he get 5? He cheaped out. I'm kind of disappointed in this guy.
all right. So
He
how does he
really,
hook
he
up
really.
five?
then you
Look,
need like an adapter.
now wait, if you're gonna do four and you're gonna have a seam down the middle, he's not even gonna see the outside ones in his peripheral. They're too far away.
Oh
I
yeah.
take those and put them on top of the other two and get some really nice vertical FOV going.
Now, I like Brian's idea. Get the fifth one, complete the circle, take your VR headset off, and then now you just move your head around and look at monitors instead of using your goggles. But you'll need that adapter to be able to run the fifth monitor. And then a sixth if you need your little display up ahead.
Yeah, he gets one more monitor in there, and he's just about got 360 degrees covered.
And then you could put a real mirror up on top of your monitor in front of you to be able to look back at the monitor behind you. But then, yeah, who knows what that's showing?
Well, it'd be reversed though. So if
Yeah, yeah.
you'd be seeing cars in the wrong side of your.
All right, before we hit the last hardware topic, I got to throw us an update from the Dinner with Racers race here. The Porsches are running about 160 up in the straightaways and corners. Looks like they're coming in. Some of them are going ahead and coming into pit, so they're going to have to make their they're going to have to stop as well and charge up. Right now, all of the V's are a lap down and are just creeping around the apron.
So with them pitting, this is a huge track. I can't see the V's overtaking them. And how long? I'm curious to hear how long a pit stop is. But they're not changing tires. They're jacking them up though.
It takes a while to charge those up.
Might be better to change the battery. Just change the whole battery at that point, right?
Those pit crews are not moving.
That's really what I think it's going to need if you ever win electric cars in NASCAR. It's not charging, but actually battery swaps.
Yeah, quick change. You know they can always do it the first year of Formula E did, which is just change cars, pull in the garage and hop into another one. That was ridiculous.
Instead of multi-class drivers, it's multi-class cars.
All right. Well, we've got one last story title for you before we jump on to results. And it's a tweet from Thrustmaster official. And they're saying, see you tomorrow at 4 p.m. Central Eastern time. No, that don't make any sense. Is that actually a Canadian time or an Australian time? CET?
Well,
It's
it
not one
happened
of our.
today. I watched it. It was on the Twitch. They have announced a wheelbase, a direct drive wheelbase. Finally, finally. If you recall, they've been trying to market this thing to us. Saying, "Hey, new stuff's coming" for over a year. But here it is. Today is the day. You can go to Twitch and type in Thrustmaster and see the video. The CEO and some other guy basically show off the wheelbase. It's very much like the CSLDD as far as the footprint of it. Um, the design is a neat look. It's got a really neat look. It's a hexagon, where five-sided kind of look, or maybe six-sided, I should say. Uh, that it basically a surround around the round motor that's within it. Um, what do you guys think?
Obviously, I haven't seen nothing about it yet or any reviews, but I'll say the design looks a little bit better than I say a lot better than Logitech's. Looks like it does have a metal casing on the outside. Won't know what those materials are yet, quite yet on the outside, but it's $600. And some comments I was reading today, and this is just for the wheelbase itself, is 600. I think the Moza, it was the R9 bundle. You can get the wheel, a steering wheel and pedals for 600. So it's got some competition right off the bat, because even the Thrustmaster wheel, I don't know if you equate it to $400. It comes with a wheel.
I didn't pick up on the Newton
Logitech,
meter
sorry.
power. I don't know how strong it is yet, but I think it's very, very interesting that Logitech announces their DD and it was 1,000, and now Thrustmaster comes out with 6 or 650. I think is what I heard.
I think the software was interesting when they were talking to the software developer about the understeer and the oversteer, and also that one guy that drove the F1 cars or whatever that tested it, and he said he was impressed. But I mean, those guys are being paid, so we're gonna have to wait probably till next month to see some independent reviews of this wheelbase. The wheelbase looks huge, though. Didn't it look like it was really big?
Yeah, I mean, it's not deep. It's like a short wheelbase. It's like a short motor.
Their quick release looks interesting. They call it a fast release, not a quick release. It's like a clamp style, that's attached to the base itself.
So this was just literally hours ago, the announcement. So there's been no reviews that we've seen yet. So like I said, probably by next week or the week after.
Does come in 5 colors. I'm seeing an orange one here. Or sorry, yeah, 5 colors. And, yeah, nothing so far for Newton meters. Does feature an RJ45 port that'll support a new type of ecosystem in the future.
Okay, so here it is. I found it in the forums. Um, it is shipped with 10 Newton meters of constant torque force built in, and pricing is 599.99 euros and 650 euros respectively. Oh, that's UK and
Yeah,
European.
I'm seeing on their I'm seeing on this video they have out that it says Shop USA 649.
Yeah, it says Americans have to wait till March 23rd to order
Right,
at 650.
March to order it.
to order.
These guys are going to be left behind.
I How can these guys not have this before Christmas? I understand there's maybe they had some delays in the development of it, but it'd be crazy not to have this before Christmas.
Not just to have it before Christmas, to even the opportunity to buy it.
Right,
You have to wait
right.
till March. That's weird.
Well, yeah, I don't know. I don't.
A long time coming. Just keep on
Yeah,
waiting.
it's a like it's hexagon shape, so it looks like a hex block. Um, different design by far, but I don't know. To me, if you make a hex, you don't have a big flat area on the bottom to mount to. I don't know if that would make a difference or not, but um, it seems like it could have been had a bigger area to mount it to your rig.
Yeah, I'm looking at what you're saying there, Brian. There's no front mounting I'm seeing whatsoever, so you'll have to mount it to the bottom. Maybe they'll come out with something, but just like we did with the Logitech when it came out, we dismissed it immediately based off its look and being Logitech, being $1,000. Then the reviews came out and everybody loved it until Carl got it. So now I want to see Carl's review on this. I want to see him compare it and whatnot. But I will say the design, I can get on board with this design more than the Logitech one so far.
Yeah, agreed. Definitely looks better.
We'll talk about it in March.
All right, let's jump to results. The Winter NIS Daytona. Let's finish up that week. Donnie, Sunday Open.
Yeah, I didn't qualify. I don't understand why I didn't, but I started 18th. I finished 12th, crossed the line P8, but somebody bumped me towards the end there and put me over the DQ limit. It was frustrating that people would enter this race, and this could be said for any race that couldn't hold a freaking line. We had one guy in particular that was a nuisance, and it was just frustrating. But other than that, it was a lot of fun. A little bit different experience driving this car as opposed to the cup cars now in the pack. So another thing, this was my first race with this wheel and getting the Newton meters and the force feedback dialed in for this guy, and it's a beast. This track um, and this car combo is a beast. So a lot of respect to the guys in the 80s who actually wielded this thing, going 205 into the corner and holding it like at 202. I think we were in these cars. It's amazing. Those guys were completely different than the guys now.
What a combo to test a brand new force feedback wheel. It's so bumpy, and you really have to just hang on and just hang on, as you go through these corners.
So before I dialed it in, I always made, I don't want to say I made fun, but I was like, why do people have harnesses for their sim rigs if they don't? I get motion maybe, but this was the first time I was like, oh crap, maybe I might need belts because it was kind of throwing your shoulders around back and forth, and I was like, holy crap, what did I buy? But yeah, after you get it dialed in and you get used to it, it's not the worst thing. But I might consider some belts. My wife might make fun of me, but who cares?
I
I can give you
love the
some
belts.
recommendations on belts.
Love the belts.
I get it I always got it from motion. It made sense to me. You want to be locked in and tight and everything. So I figured you could just do that with your own human strength if you just had a regular rig. But apparently the wheels could be stronger than what you can be at times.
So I'll tell you why I bought belts, because I once videotaped myself racing, and then I'd watch myself I literally flop around like a fish. Like, like literally, like, I doing this and I get up on one hip on my left hip or something and I'm not sitting flat and crazy stuff.
It's fun watching Parker Kligerman. He does that. He'll lean into the corners, and I know he's not doing that in real life because he can't physically. But it's just fun watching him do the old school grandma lean while playing Mario Brothers or something.
All right, Sunday fixed. I got a P8. I had a pretty good run going, around top five, basically. I even led some laps. There was a blinker in the room, and he would not pull over, no matter how many times people said something. Eventually, he took me out, basically slammed me to the wall. I had 30 seconds required, 5 minutes optional, and I lost a lap. I eventually did get a lucky dog and brought it home P8. Great run.
Did you protest that guy?
I meant to, or I wanted to, and I said I was going to, and then, the end of the race comes and I'm ready to go outside and take the dog out, and I totally forgot. That cool down period's what screws me.
Well, how long do you have after a race to protest? I mean, Dave, I'm sure
You can
Dave
go
knows.
back to it, but I didn't save the replay or anything.
And during the cool
Okay,
down
never
factor,
mind.
your give a crap meter kind of lowers, and you're just like,
That's what they're thinking, and
Exactly.
it also gives people a chance to send you a message apologizing,
yeah.
right? I don't know if there's a statute of limitations or not. I've never, I never wait that long. What I'll do is if I know I want to protest it, I type it up and just wake up the next morning and then click the send button.
All right, let's move on to Bristol Wednesday Open. Donnie P10.
Yeah. So this one we raced not together, but during the same event. I qualified P10, finished P10. The car had great long run speed. The set that I used, the car was just great overall. You're able to pass inside or outside, didn't really matter. Um, I was running top five the majority of my race, maybe probably sixth or seventh. But at one point, me and the gentleman that actually won the race later on, we were battling. I think we were one, two, and three, but we had the lappers on a restart mixed in with us, and one guy just couldn't get out of our way, and some guy plowed into the rear of me, sent me to the inside wall. So that kind of ruined my race, but I was able to come back and finish P10. One thing I did, you always reminded when you drive these older cars and older series, even though the rules are kind of mixed, and I'm not a big fan of that. But the how on earth did NASCAR allow the lapped and damaged cars for so long to start on the inside line? I remember that being such a huge deal. I think the early 2000s when they finally um, got rid of that rule. But it just amazes me that to think about it from the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s that the lap cars started on the inside line.
What I've noticed racing the last couple of weeks about this is those lap cars don't have a prayer of getting their lap back. Not even a chance in the world because there's a reason they're lap cars. It's just silly to even put them up there because they're not going to get in front of those leaders and then a caution come out.
It was just for those guys that were occasionally got like trapped because of an unlucky pit stop or something like that. If you got caught in green flag cycles,
Yeah, no, it makes sense a little bit, but I mean, you'll read stories or watch old races, and there were guys that were several laps down, and over a 500-mile race, they get those laps back and somehow win. Um, and it happens sometimes in the current format with the getting your lap back in the wave rounds and whatnot. But um, I like the track with this car. It's a great track car combo for myself. So I'll be putting a pin in this one and racing all the future ones I could find.
All right, my race wrecked out. I did pretty good on the first run, actually. I ended up going from 20th up to second before pitting, and then a long green flag run. I actually faded hard to 15th, three laps down. It was top split with about 100 to go. I got loose on my own and spun. I didn't hit anything, but came to a rest right in the middle of the track, dead backwards. The field came around, and one guy just clipped me and tore off the wheel of the car. I was done. All right, today I ran Thursday Open P11. Top split once again. There were only 18 cars in the race. I was fairly slow. I pretty much got what I deserved. I was 4 laps down, P11 out of 18. I gained just a little bit of I rating and safety rating. Got more points than my DNF the night before, so I'll take it. Right. Other racing, let's go through. I ran F2000 at Gateway. Wow, man, that was fun. Started 14th out of 18. Got as high as P3, ended up battling for fourth with 4 different cars for many different laps. That was some great racing P4. Next one started 9 out of 14, worked my way up to P3. Next started P5 out of 9, ended up P6 after getting wrecked from a guy came down into me. Next one started P6 out of 8, got to the front almost P2. 2 different contacts with people that were net code. Then I ran hosted Radical at the Ring. Later, the IndyCar at Michigan, P2 in that one. Then F2000 switched weeks over to Road America. Started P7 out of 14. Quickly got to P5, but ran off and knocked the front wing off and fell back to P8. Then a great combination, the Formula V and the Lotus 49s at Southern National. Wow, what a blast this was. P2. I almost won it.
Mike, real quick, do you have the Lotus? I didn't know you had that car.
I don't. I ran the Formula V. Now, I would have won my class, is what I should have said.
Okay, but you didn't have to have the car to be in a multi-class race with that then, huh?
I didn't.
No, you
It was
never
cool
did.
to
Yeah, I
see
guess
that
I guess
car.
that makes sense because you don't have to have all the different GTs and all that stuff. Yeah, you're right.
When
My
we
bad.
were when we were on the grid, you can see that, they're open wheel cars, both of them. But the Formula Vs have a fairly narrow tire. But boy, these Lotuses, they have this super wide back tires on them, and they were really quick, but they were like twice as fast as the Formula Vs. But it made a interesting race for sure. It was more like it was almost a demo derby kind of thing.
Now the combo you mentioned, Gateway and the F2000. Did you not find it entertaining the entire time?
It was fun. I figured out a line. The first couple races of the week, I did I found a guy who was fast. I saw this line he took where he basically just did a really late apex into 1 and 2, where he went real wide, and it worked for me.
Yeah, I heard you on the show last week mention if there's not enough cars, you don't enjoy it. But for something like that, and if there's only 8 cars in it, you're going to run up front anyway, and so you're not really going to be in the back to really have the car count matter. So you're going to be in the first 4 cars. So I would always say go for it, even if it's a minimum of 6. You're going to be in those first two or three cars anyway.
I started one event there. There were 2 of us, me and another guy, and we actually ran for a while, and then I gave up. It was boring. All right, 8 open, Steve.
Yeah, I ran the Open at Kansas, and I didn't qualify. I ended up starting last. There wasn't many guys in there. I ended up in the top split, so I figured I was a fish out of water. And anyways, my car would really come in probably like I don't know, about 15 laps in, and then I just went to the top, and I was just passing cars like crazy. And if there wasn't a last caution with 4 to go, I probably would have ended up fourth, maybe fifth, right in there. And but they had a restart, and I was kind of a wussy, so I ended up P12th. I wasn't as aggressive as I probably should have been, but I gained like 84 points, so that was good.
Right. And the long anticipated winter league started. Adam, Jocelyn, he sped on pit road. He had a 40-second penalty, got caught a lap down, and then wrecked later on. Me, P19. It was a 37 car field. I qualified 20th. The first run, Adam and I got together and we worked ourselves into the top 10. We had a good spot going into the green flag stop. We were very close to the front. Caution came out in the middle of the green flag stops, and I ended up restarting P3 after that. Got to run around 10th to 15th most of the race after that. Didn't feel like I was making good moves on picking one lane or the other. Everyone was afraid to try three wide, so we didn't. There was lots of frustration, but at the end, I was actually in the right lane at the right time with the late restart. There were four or five of us that broke away on the top lane. Now this is Daytona. I made my move going into three on the white, dropped to the bottom. I had Josh Campbell, the admin, right behind me to push, and it looked like he was going to stick with me the whole way. But iRacing staff member Christian Schallner and another guy who were right in front of us, they also dropped to the bottom as we went to the bottom. And so what happened was Christian blew his engine at that very moment. I don't know if he was overheating from pushing the leader, but yeah, he blew up, immediately got turned, and I got collected in the aftermath. Uh, the old field plowed in, and I ended up T19. Steve, you had a tough run.
Yeah, I didn't qualify. I started in the back, and just on the pace lap, um, my car wouldn't turn. It kept touching the wall, and so I didn't want to. I was kind of nervous about being in that race, anyways, with all those good guys. So I exited to go back to the pits, and I hadn't put my wheel on right, so it was just spinning without the quick release being locked in. So that was the issue. So I ended up 2 laps down by the time I got back out there. And I had fun. It was fun racing. I got up there with Mike. I was like 2 laps down and tried to push him around, and probably would have ended up okay if that last caution didn't come out, because you were going to end up probably maybe winning it, huh, Mike?
I was in third, yeah, before that last one, and then I was fourth or fifth for that final white to the run to the checker. Yeah, I was in a good spot. I felt good about it. You were laps down, but you were one of the few. You were the farthest up lap car. Like you were up there with the leaders. So I think if you had been on the lead lap, you would have been fine.
Yeah, yeah. I was just stuck. I was hoping I was going to be able to push you, but anyways, it was fun though, racing with all those guys. Those guys were really good drivers. I mean, cars were kind of wicked to drive, and they had tons of control. So
Well, hope to get a bigger team presence next week. Donnie, David, Greg, are you guys going to make it?
Yeah, I should be able to. Don't have to work.
Yeah, I have no extra work scheduled that day, so I should be good. It's Texas, right? We just kind of ran there not too long ago, about a month ago.
Did y'all take a
Yeah,
look at that Texas video that I showed y'all about the checkered history of Texas?
Oh yeah, yeah.
all right. Speaking of Texas, Brian, P22.
Yeah, so this was the UBRL Sunday night Cup race. The first time that they've moved their races from Sunday mornings to Sunday night Cup Series. Um, and it's the first week of the off season that they run 13 weeks or whatever it is leading up to the real life Daytona 500. So the first track was set at Texas, and it was a full field, 41 cars. So great turnout for everybody coming there. I started in the back. I didn't qualify, which was started me at like 36, I think it was. Um, I had a pretty decent early run, moved up to the mid 20s at that point. So I was moving up somewhat. Cars started pitting around lap 40. It was a 140 lap race. Cars started pitting around lap 40 to kind of split the race up into 2 pit stops. I stayed out a little longer and wound up catching a caution. So some of the guys got left a lap down because of the caution, and I got really good track position after that. I moved up, restarted that at in sixth place. I actually gained 2 spots. I was in fourth place, and doing pretty good. And then my tires kind of wore out a little too fast. I started to fade a little bit. Um, I think I fell back to seventh, and when the next set of pit stops came in, so I went. It was a green flag stop, and I wound up getting a black flag because I locked up my brakes and hit the cone on pit entrance and got a unsafe pit entrance penalty. So that put me a lap down. Unfortunately, it really killed my race. I think I would have had a top 10 for sure if I'd have stayed kept that clean stop. There was a late caution with about 12 to go, which let me catch a couple guys, and I had a good restart and passed one or two drivers and finished in P22. So not too bad considering the black flag, which was just killer. And another really good OBRL race. 2 cautions, and one of them was from somebody who had a hardware failure. Their screen blacked out and they lost control of their car. So for a 140 lap race, one caution for bad driving, one for just the hardware issues. Pretty solid, typical of OBRL racing.
Right, well done. Let's jump to final thoughts. Brian McCubbin, what are your final thoughts?
So let's see. So now that the Cup season's over and NIS is over, except for the '87 version, yeah, I kind of encourage people to get outside their comfort zone if you're typically a NASCAR oval racer. Um, and that's what I've done. I've started just doing practice sessions with cars and combinations that I wouldn't typically normally run. I played around in the Formula V, some of their races. I jumped in a I jumped in a Formula Skip Barber, did some racing there, which I really never do during the Cup season. Um, so there's other things too I want to try. I want to mess around. I've done a lot of truck races, the pro trucks, not races, but I've done a lot of just practicing, playing around with them. But I've never actually done any official races in trucks. So I'm gonna try some pro truck races and get that in. So a lot of cool stuff. One last thing I want to mention is our teammate Tyler Williamson, who doesn't make the show. He's usually tied up pretty good. I want to congratulate him. He's almost got his A license in all disciplines of racing. He's just got a couple of dirt oval races to complete and do well, and then he'll have the A license in all disciplines. So congratulations to him prematurely, but I know he's going to get it.
Well done.
That's quite an accomplishment.
If you're on A on all of them, maybe you're not trying hard enough. All right, David Hall, final thoughts.
Obviously, didn't have much results in here. I've been running Le Mans in the sports in the 919 a lot. Got pulled a podium off of it, and again, just mostly during the break. I've mostly run sports cars and take a break from the oval. I would encourage all of our teammates to run some multi-class to get ready for Daytona because it's really not the car that you have to get used to. It's the whole culture of multi-class that really needs more. You need the experience on, so you can learn that even if it's at a different track than Daytona. And that's what I will be doing most for the most part here is running a little bit of IMSA, a little bit of ESS, probably sneak in for some of the Scott McGuire stuff and run and be starting behind the 8 ball for trying to catch up in the winter series. With I guess we only get the one drop week, so it's gonna be just gonna have to just focus on good finishes and having fun with it, and just take it a little bit easier during the winter.
Have we
Very good.
decided as the fun team if we're going to be racing the GTs, or are we going to jump up to the prototypes?
I think Tony said he wants to stay in the Ferrari.
David mentioned something in the group chat a few weeks back that we might have 3 teams. There's enough guys potentially interested. So, and maybe with some cross team pollination that we might have enough for 3 cars.
Yeah, because I'm basically allied with Mad Sim now, right? Our podcaster fellows, and with over there with Cody Richardson, I'm going to be running majors with them next year, and so I have access to all their their information, and they're literally already forming their teams. They're like, let's go. They're going to practice for Daytona for 2 months. Um,
I
and
like it.
I just said, tell you what, when we get close, I'll let you know if we need a spare buddy or somebody. We'll see how it goes. It's I hope they get that new car out, the BMW, but on the same token, I don't want to get in a split that's only BMWs and not having that multi-class element, and also and everybody's going to run that car. So I'm almost leaning towards maybe sticking with the LMP2 so that I know I'm more likely to get into a multi-class race.
And something we brought up before with brand new cars is, does iRacing juice up the new car a little bit to help boost sales, make it the quicker car? Seems like the Mercedes was really good when it came out.
Well,
It's a trend.
in this case, it's going to be the quicker car because it's going to be the fastest class,
Right? No, you're right. Yes.
especially in IMSA. And in fact, what they right now the word is that the LMP2 is actually juiced up to be more like an LMDH or an L or a DPI, and that the actual LMP2 does not go as fast as it's going in iRacing. So probably the LMP2 will take a little bit of a nerf when the BMW comes out.
Can
Hey,
you
Donnie
repeat that in
Spiker.
English, please?
Donnie Spiker, final thought.
Yeah, I'm with you, Brian. I want to get these teams squared away. I hope to be on the GT team. So our GT team captain, I believe, is Tony. I'd like to be on the GT team. I added a channel to our Discord. We need to get some more listener participation in there. It was a dead week, but I added a channel in the general heading of race results. So if you guys want to post your race results with a picture, kind of that encapsulates what your race was about, a picture in there, and then a quick little blurb of what the race was like. And if we have time on the show, we'll read them out, get some listener feedback there.
Good idea. I'd love to read off some other people's results, so let's do it. All right, Greg Hectus, final thoughts.
Oh, just here doing nothing. Listen to you guys going on about the show. No, I didn't really get a chance to do anything this week. I've been sicker than I think I've ever been in a while. With something in my respiratory system, but hopefully getting better and going from there. But I look forward to hopefully racing next week, but we'll see. I keep saying that every week, but something always comes up, so I'm not going to guarantee it this time. And we'll go from there.
Well, you sound great.
Yeah, so great.
All right, get better. Steve Thompson, final thought.
Yeah, I want to thank Lawrence over at Sim Coaches. I watched his video last week. He'd put up, and he had showed the brake pedal, and he had the washers, spring washers. And so I searched over the weekend trying to see if I could find some the right size to try to put on my HPP pedals, and so I couldn't really find anything. So I decided to go to his website, and behold, there were the spring washers right there that I could order. So I went ahead and ordered the soft and the hard, and I ordered them late Wednesday afternoon, and they arrived yesterday, one day coming from Vegas. And anyways, Lawrence, he put a nice note in the box. He wanted to know. He said he was pumped up for me to test those springs on my pedals, and so I wasn't sure what direction to put the spring washers. So I went on his Discord channel and asked a question, and of course he answered me right away. And so I put them on, and they're awesome. I mean, they just completely changed the way my pedals are. I've got hydraulic pedals, and they had the urethane bumpers on there. I had some. I've tried all of them, the soft ones, the hard ones. So I just want a big shout out to Lawrence for helping me put those on, and for sending me those, and for supporting me, even though I don't own his pedals. I really appreciate it. So go check him out. And if you want those springs and you've got hydraulic HPP pedals or any others, try them out because it definitely changes your pedals. He also mentioned when I was talking to him last night, he said he got a ton of orders for the spring washers. So it must have either been from us mentioning it last week or also on his video. So thanks to Lawrence.
How'd you like his hard washer set?
So what I did is I put he recommended putting like 6 sets of the hard washers on first. So I put those on, and then I put the soft washers on on the front, the rest of them. So I put a whole bag. I don't know. I've brought probably 40 washers, I guess, on there because my bolt's pretty long. But I tell you what, it's just, I mean, it completely changed the feel of the pedals. I mean, they feel like a regular vehicle now. I'm really, really impressed. He's got some great engineering guys over there, him or whoever thought up those washers.
So I want to also throw out that Lawrence is doing a blast this week to let everyone know they're going live on November 24th to show the new Formula wheel. And so look forward to that event. You can actually go to his social media and put in your email and be alerted and all this stuff. So I put my email in so I won't miss it.
Yeah, and go join their Discord channel. There's lots of great information. There's people selling used stuff there. I mean, that guy really supports everything. He's doing a great job.
Yeah. All right. My final thoughts, man, loving my wheel, and just getting used to it. The force feedback is amazing. The amount of power that's there. There's so much fidelity. I can't just say enough about it. I've had a few hiccups during the week. At one point, I told Steve, "Man, this wheel's rattling all of a sudden. I got a rattle." It scared the heck out of me, and it turned out that the quick release had come loose. There's inner bolts and there's outer bolts, and two of the inner bolts were actually knocked loose from 87s at Daytona, and so I went in there and I tightened them as tight as my tool will go without actually breaking the tool. And so I guess if they back out again, I'm gonna have to get the Loctite.
Sounds like
Yeah, it's
sounds
been
like
great.
your crew chief's not taking care of your rig there. Isn't that your wife?
Yeah, right.
I was gonna say biking using tools is not a good thing.
Right. Well, maybe I'm running too much force feedback, but that's the whole idea. I'm trying to see what the thing's got.
Mike's gonna rip his foundation in his house up before he's done.
Did you break all your toys when you were a kid?
Oh yeah, redesigned them. That's what we did. Okay, so with that, hey, we'll see you out on the track later.